If you are a real estate agent and you are tired of paying for ads that flat out don't work, cold calling, door knocking, all the same old stuff that just seems to be getting you stuck in a rut, well, this is the channel for you. We are three rock star agents who have come together with over 50 plus years in the training and sales industry, and we are hoping to pass that knowledge on to you. So subscribe to the channel and get ready to learn. Let's get started.
I'm excited to be here, Freedom Team. I'm sure y'all already know this, but y'all are running with some phenomenal people. Jeff, Kathy, the whole group y'all got here, truly incredible. And it's been a blessing for me to get to know them over the past year, really here. And we're collaborating on some things I'm excited about. Real quick, I have a question. Whoever knows can answer this. Like the agents here, like, are we like a majority like $2 to $3 million producers newer to the business, 3 million plus, 5 million plus? Like what's I know it's probably a mix, but like what's the bulk of the audience here?
I'd say most trying to get to capping and some, to icon level. So kind of, in that level.
Love
Guys, if
it.
you want to put your sales in the chat, that would be helpful for them as well. But some are working towards capping and some are working towards icon.
Love it. So yeah, I'm gonna try to speak specifically to those key points here for the goals, and so but yeah, I'm gonna walk you all through exactly because and I'll share some more context here. And again, thank y'all for inviting me on. Can we see my screen? Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
very good.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, I've just some full context here. So I've been with EXP here since December 2016. I saw the vision with the company here as far as at that point in time, how it could help me grow my production, have more of what I needed. And I mean, just a side note, I don't know how many of y'all have been around for, call it 5 or more years here, but it's kind of crazy to think now that, I mean, today compared to then, it couldn't be more of a night day difference, like as far as the resources that are there today compared to then. But even then, I saw a vision of, what was on the table that could help me with my production. And then kind of the bigger vision for me personally was, I saw an opportunity that there could be a way that I could, build something beyond my own production. And since that point I have, but the way I've been able to successfully do that is by, helping people, many of whom I met when they had literally, I'd say little to no production, but honestly, a lot of them had zero production. I worked with a lot of people, up to this point, I've worked with a lot of people that were brand new to the real estate industry, and literally they were starting at zero when they met me. So it wasn't even a conversation of just like, hey, how do we build your production from 1 to 2 million or 2 million and beyond? It was like, how do I go from zero to selling someone a house? How do I help someone buy a house, sell a house? So that was just the audience I was dealing with. And it's kind of crazy to think, but like literally, I mean, I'm sure a lot of y'all know about the EXP 250 list. Maybe some of y'all are on it. But four of my partners made the EXP 250 list, and these are all people I started with at zero, literally zero, brand new to the business. And it's called 4 years or less. Um, I've helped 10 of my partners go from 0 to 10 million in production over the last 4 years, but most of them did it in closer to 2 years than 4 years. But I'm the kind of person that, I don't like to set unrealistic expectations. So if anything, I want to tell you something where it could be better than what I say, but I don't want to set you up to where, it's going to be worse if you truly move and execute on it. So I'm going to start with what are the top three things I taught my partners and shared with them, and what were the keys that they implemented to take their business from zero to getting their first win, their first few wins, and ultimately building a business that's producing $10 million a year in production for them. So let's see here, make sure I can get to the next slide. So yeah, the three keys. So these three keys, they're foundational. I believe they're foundational to every agent who's running a successful business and seeing really massive results in it. If you can master these keys, you're gonna put yourself amongst the ranks of top producers who consistently close multiple deals a month. Because, these partners of mine, that's the situation. It's very rare they have a month where they don't have a closing at least. And, sometimes, we all know how it is. Some months you have a few deals close, and not every month you have, 4, 5, 6 deals closed. But, pretty much on a monthly basis, these partners of mine now, they're doing at least 3, 4, 5. Sometimes they have a month bigger than that. But it's all about having these three keys in place. So let's dive into it. Let's see here. So the first key is to plug into a proven game plan. And I'll share, by the way, I'm going to save a good amount of time here for Q&A, because I'd really like to share more specific insight on what would be helpful for different people here in different places. But um, the first key was, I put my partners in a situation where they didn't really have to reinvent the wheel. So like right out the gate, I gave them a proven game plan. And what I found is that, execution beats experimentation, especially when someone's trying to build up their business, especially if you're here starting from more or less scratch right now. It really helps to have a proven plan you can plug in with from the get-go. Because what I found, and this was based on my personal experience getting started in 2015 in real estate, was I really felt like those first few months, and really, if I look back at the first year, it was a bunch of trial and error. I learned different strategies different top producers did by, I spent a lot of the time just throwing stuff against the wall, seeing what sticked and what didn't. And that's one of the things that kind of motivated me to start helping others getting into the business. Was I just feel like if I had someone guiding me in the right way, I could have saved a lot of that time on trial and error, and done more of what worked more quickly. So what I started doing is I equipped my partners with proven systems and steps that they could begin taking to build up their production. So if someone was starting with zero, I had an A to Z guide as far as like, what do you even do when you get your first buyer? I mean, no one really knows unless they've done it before. So starting there, but even beyond that point, okay, what are the proven steps you can take, even if you have a limited amount of time each week? Because reality is, I found a lot of the people that I was helping get into the business, most of them weren't starting full time in real estate. Most of them, they had a commitment outside because they needed to pay their bills. They needed to provide for their family. They needed to pay their rent, whatever the case was. And so I intentionally created a plan based on everything I learned up to that point. What could you do to make the most of, even if you only had 15 hours a week to commit to real estate, how could you make the most of those 15 hours with productive, um, I call it active lead generation, but strategies that the steps that you're taking to build your production, instead of spending time designing marketing materials. I don't know about you guys, but if I think back, my first couple of years in the business, I spent the time, I mean, there were hours I spent designing marketing materials that I barely even used ultimately. Shame to say, but just point is that wasn't a productive use of time if I could have used that time creating more conversation. So it's just guiding through, and I can dive more into like just some of the stuff the blueprint entailed, but I equipped them with that from the get-go. So like literally right out the gate, was teaching them, everything they could do from a standpoint of actively generating leads to starting to build their online brand and presence, and setting a minimum, standard every single week as far as what activity level you should be doing if you're going to really expect to move the needle. And what I found though is the people that won and actually succeeded the most, they're the people that didn't kind of follow the plan. They committed to it and executed daily on it. So, because what I found is everyone has, when you have resources like these, everyone gets the resource, but not everyone applies themselves to the same way with it. But those who really committed to it fully, they're the ones that saw the most traction and growth. So the second key is, if you have a proven plan, and I want you to apply this because I know all of y'all know, being a part of the community you're a part of here, I know for a fact y'all have proven plans and things to plug into. So the question there is, are you really giving it a shot to work? Are you really committing yourself to it and executing daily with that plan you've been given? Now the second key is, you want to pick a proven niche and you want to own that niche. And the thing is, generalist, like I know for a lot of us, if you're like early on in the phases of building your business, it's not like you're not going into the day thinking of every potential way you could turn down business. But the thing is, if you don't pick a niche, if you don't pick a lane that you can really lean into and make your own, you're not really going to appeal or not appeal to anyone. So the last thing you want to do is be like a vanilla realtor because no one's going to ever think of you when it's time to do something. But if you're the person that people know as the VA loan expert or the agent that specializes in investment properties or luxury or whatever your niche is, that's where people actually think of something when it comes up. And so examples of niches. And so if I look at the top agents, like even those that made the 250 list that I mentioned, I can think of a niche that pretty much every one of them owns. One of them is the VA loan specialist. The other is he's an investor specialist. More than half his business comes from investors. In fact, it's kind of crazy, but um, I think a lot of y'all would be shocked if you knew just how much of his business came from one investor. So really, the right client connection could absolutely change everything for you. But that only came because he leaned into that niche. Before he had that big investor client, he was already positioning himself as the investor agent. Um, and I've even had someone, actually more than one person, that built up a very large portion of their production off a referral business, even as a 1 2 year agent. How do you do that? Well, it's not about your past client referrals at that point. It's about tapping into a network where you can get referrals from other real estate agents in other market areas. So, for instance, within EXP, we have a lot of agents in different market areas that are connected on the same platform. And what I found is not everyone really utilizes the platform we're connected on. But I've had partners of mine that have, and that's literally how they got their first 3 or 5 deals when they didn't even have any prior experience. But the clients trusted them because um, they weren't trusting the way that agent connected with the client. They were trusting that the person who referred them was, had already done, some of their diligence and whatnot. So basically, experience wasn't a question as much in those situations, but they tapped into a network that existed to where they can make those connections. Um, but actually, I've had a couple people, they kind of carved out their niche there, because if you build enough relationships with agents in different markets, especially the more productive ones, there comes a point where you're pretty much getting new referral opportunities every single week, in large part just because there's so many agents out there that you've already connected with and you've already taken care of something from them. And so, just most people don't dive into that deep enough to where that's ever really a significant source of business for them. But anyway, regardless of what your niche is, like the best thing you can do is identify something that you're interested in, that you could see yourself doing, and really lean into it and really focus on how can you get the most business from clients in your target market area, and how can you become the most knowledgeable person in that target market. The agent who is the VA expert in my group, he will confidently tell you right to your face that he knows more about the VA loan than any other agent you'll ever meet. And he really believes that because he's that diligent with it. He spent countless hours, getting to know the process. But more importantly, now that's over half his business, and he's seen so many different scenarios, and he knows more things about it than a lot of other agents, to the point where he'll have conversations with an agent on the other side of the deal. They're trying to tell him, that hey, you can't do that. He's like, no, you're wrong. You just haven't seen the situation before. Um, but the third key is, let's see here. The third key is your personal brand. And by the way, just to reiterate, these are the three key things that the top, the people I've helped go from 0 to 10 million. These are the three things that every single one of them, did, at a pretty high level, I would say. But yeah, the third key is building a magnetic personal brand. So people today, especially in today's world, they don't just hire a realtor. They don't hire the brand behind the realtor. I mean, 98% of people out there, it's based on their personal connection with that agent. So with you, so you are your brand. The only question is there a place that people can go to see that, to where if they pulled up your page, that you are who you say you are online, and it's undeniably, it's undeniable that, you do what you say you do, you are who you say you are. So, it's your reputation, it's your expertise, it's your unique value proposition all rolled into one powerful marketing tool. And so, like, I would tell you today, like, literally your Instagram page is going to do more of a heavy lift for you than your website. As far as, if there's a place that people are searching your name. So, what I want you to think about in regards to this is, if you put your name into Google, what shows up? And do an incognito search, just to see what shows up for the public. And if you have a more common name, specify real estate. So put your name in realtor, real estate, what comes up? Because I know for a fact, like, we don't even know how many situations out there where you might be prospecting, you might have met someone in an open house, and then they look you up. And what pops up in those few seconds they're on Google searching, what they click on next, that could be the difference between them answering your call when you reach out versus them not, because they didn't see anything. They didn't see any proof versus they saw undeniable proof that you are who you say you are, and that, like, oh wow, this person really knows their stuff. This person really sells a lot of real estate. This person really helps a lot of people. And that's the more important thing, is that last part. But are they seeing that online? And are you seizing every opportunity that you have to share that social proof? Because that's a part of your brand. But also important to note, your personal brand isn't just the real estate side of you, it's you. Like, what do you like? What are you into? Because that's what's going to make you different. So one of the things I taught my partners very early on, like even before they ever sold a house, is I asked them a question, which is, hey, tell me something unique about you. What's unique about you? And very few people had a really clear idea. Like, very few people had a clear answer to that question. A lot of people, they didn't really have an answer. They didn't, like, whatever their answer was still pretty generic. But that's something I taught them is, well, hey, I want you to figure out, like, what is unique about you? Like, what makes you different than every other realtor in your market area? And some people, when I explain that, they overthink it. They're like, well, shoot, I don't know if there's anything really different about me. There's, all these billions of people in the world. It's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, what is different about you than a random room full of realtors that someone might walk into? And because the thing is, like, all of us have something, but very few of us communicate it. Very few of us put it out there. And so as a result, we're not really too different than all these other realtors. Because reality is, everyone knows an agent, even if they're not aware with it. Like, everyone knows at least a few agents. A lot of people have friends that are agents. A lot of people have family members. But if there's something about you that they're seeing and they're hearing, and it's constantly visible to them, they might just think of you before they think of their own relative when it comes time to do something. That's the difference. So, you're not disqualified just because someone knows someone else. Like, you might have a bigger opportunity if your personal brand is bigger than that other person they know, and and you're more visible in their feed in their life. So that's why this part's so important. But everyone, and by the way, some of the top partners I have are people that were like, they were very much against this idea when I first told them about it. Like, I remember, I had one of my partners, he went from zero to icon agent his first 12 months in real estate, from scratch, starting part-time in real estate. I remember telling him, um, but before he had finished the licensing process, like, hey, you're gonna, like, what social media platform do you use? And he's like, man, I haven't used social media in years. Like, I intentionally, like, got off that thing. And I'm like, okay, well, here's the thing. If you want to, really um, be competitive with the top people in your market, you're going to have to pick a platform and you're going to have to be on it. And he never once, after that point, I never heard him complain about social media again, even though I know he still hates it. He went ahead and picked his platform. He reactivated his Instagram account. He hadn't posted on it in years. And even if you look at his feed, he still doesn't post a lot on it. But you know what I always see? I always see his stories. I always see him helping someone with real estate. I always see him, putting deals under contract. Anytime he has something that happens, it's on his story at least. In fact, honestly, I wish he would post more stuff that's not real estate on there. But fact is, now he has people reaching out, literally every week from what they see, him doing in real estate. They just see him being productive. They see him helping people. They see him making a difference. And that visibility is the difference between people in your world and people who will come into your world in the future thinking about you versus not. And the big blessing in that is, I mean, we all have that opportunity today. I mean, if this were a training happening 30 years ago, like there wouldn't really, practically speaking, be a way for us to do this. Like you're either going to get on TV or not. Here now, we like everyone's spending the same time that it used to be on TV. They're spending it right here, and you can get in front of them for $0 if you just commit to being visible on a regular basis. Now, those are the three keys. And I'm going to kind of dive into next, like what was the difference? Because it wasn't just the plan, it wasn't just the niche, it wasn't just the personal brand and really picking a platform to commit to building that on. There was also some traits I noticed, and really these traits are the difference between agents who succeed versus those who completely fell out. I've pinpointed like 6 key traits. All of the $10 million producing agents I have in common these traits, more so than people that don't build their production up to that level. And it's a very clear difference in a lot of situations. So I want to break this down. Now, the good news is, these aren't traits you're born with necessarily. These are traits that anyone can commit to building. So starting with the first trait, which is belief. And I just realized that I think my slides like zoomed in here. Let me try to, yeah, let me try to, well, I'll scroll down a little bit, but the first one is belief. So, those who built their production up to that level, they decided up front that it would work for them. Like the plan that they were given, the strategy they committed to, they decided it would work. And so they didn't end up wasting time doubting or wondering what if. And the people that didn't build that kind of traction, or even those who really didn't go far at all, they got stuck on skepticism, on comparison, on distractions, on shiny objects. They ended up questioning the strategy instead of executing it with confidence. And the thing is, like with belief and with this point, it's not just being blindly optimistic. It's a mindset that allows you to push through like the challenges you'll face along the way. Because when you truly believe that this is going to work, that this is going to be successful, that any obstacles you face, they become more of a temporary inconvenience than something that just insurmountably gets in your way. So the second key trait is coachability. So the winners, they implemented fast. They never had to be told something twice. Those who failed or burned out, they rarely ever asked for help. And the few times that they did, they seemingly ignored the guidance they were given and instead opted to repeat the same mistakes they had made up to that point. So really clear distinction. And this one hit me recently because I was thinking about, I was frustrated with someone I was working with. Just it's like they kept asking me the same thing, and like it's like they were expecting a different answer or something, and instead of implementing, it's like they were getting nowhere. And I got a little frustrated. Then it occurred to me, I'm like, wait a second. The top eight, I never had this problem with my top agents. Like they never had to hear the same thing twice. All they needed was to hear it one time, and then I never heard anything about that topic again. Instead, I see them doing it. Like I can think of an agent in Dallas. I don't even know what kind of production he's going to do this year. He just hit his second Icon Award. He's been licensed 3 years. He's probably going to do 60 or 70 deals this year. But I kid you not, every time I tell him one thing, he freaking does it. I told him one day, I was having dinner with him. I'm like, hey, I have an idea for you. I really think you should do a vlog. And I kind of broke down like my thought process. I'm like, you know how many people would be interested in seeing like what a day in your life looks like? I kid you not, the next day he bought a vlogging camera, and 5 days later he uploaded his first vlog. I'm like, dude, you actually did it. Like, you know how many people I'll tell something like that and they never do a thing with it? And him, and like I can't even, like there's another thing I told him recently. I told him, you know what, you should do you know what I would do? You're having so many closings. Like you keep telling me this, like these stories of the people you're helping. You know how cool it would be to have like all that on video, like get video testimonials of your clients and let's start sharing those on social media. And then let's start putting some ad spin on the ones that get more reach. I kid you not. I told him that one time. And what do I see 2 weeks later in my feed? I see him with a mic interviewing his clients right after they sold a home. I'm like, there we go, man. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what true coachability is. It's not questioning anything. It's not, do you like this? Do you agree with this? Do you like the idea of being on video? Do you like the idea of being on social media? Or are you, willing to implement something that's a proven plan instead of, picking and choosing your own flavor with it? I mean, but what's cool is those are just platforms. It's not even just a flavor. It's like, I mean, you could not like social media. It's up to you how you utilize the tool. Are you scrolling in the feed? Getting consumed by it, or are you using it to be more productive? Are you using it to post? There's a big difference there. And the people that don't get that kind of traction, they always have this mindset like they'll think about it. They're not really willing to implement right away. They'll hear something, they'll sit on it, they'll go to another class, they won't really put it into play. And a lot of times they end up wondering why they're progressing. Well, the key is knowledge without action. It's not really that valuable. In fact, is your actions, they actually prove what you know. Like we all think we know this or that, but like what we actually do is the real determining factor if we actually know what we say we know, what we claim we know. Do our results reflect that? Do the actions we take reflect that? I mean, for instance, if you know that you should be taking care of your health, but you're doing unhealthy things and you're not ever getting exercise in, like, do you really know that that's important? Or is it just something that you've learned and you didn't do anything about? But the good news is we all have decisions to make. We can all put something into action at any point. We flip a switch and make a decision that we're going to do it and actually follow through with it. The third key trait is confidence. Those who won, they projected confidence before the results even caught up, and clients trusted them more so off the bat because they showed up with confidence in themselves. The people that failed and burned out, they waited to feel ready, and as a result, they stayed timid and they stayed invisible. And I'm convinced at this point that the longer you go in a mode where you're like waiting to feel ready, um, I'm convinced that actually takes away confidence. There's nothing about that builds confidence. Um, and so, like, the point is, it's like, do you believe that if you have an opportunity that you're going to get resourceful, that you're going to find the help you need, the resources you need? Maybe you're already doing a solid amount of production, but you want to break into luxury. Do you believe if you had an opportunity that you're going to go out of your way to knock it out of that park for that first luxury client you get? I've got an agent. He's going to be like one of the next $10 million producers, but I think the highest price home he's ever sold was like, I think in the 700,000 range, maybe. He's not in a market where, I mean, there are houses a lot more than that in his market, but I mean, most agents, they're dealing with, five, six, $700,000 houses. I think the highest sell he's ever had was in the 600,000 to 700,000 range. Well, he has a multi-million dollar house under contract right now. He's never sold $1 million house. He has a multi-million dollar house under contract right now. And I asked him, well, how's it going with your clients? Tell me about what you're doing, the experience. And he was telling me what he was doing. He's like, man, I'm rolling out the red carpet. They freaking love me. And he was telling me why, and he was kind of going into detail on what he was doing. So my point is, it's like if you ask most agents, they think that they're not ready to sell a house like that. They think that just because they've never done it before, that something else, they need another certification or class or something. Like, really, all you need is an opportunity, and you need to commit to the fact that you're going to freaking knock it out of the park. And if you don't know the answer is something, that you're going to get resourceful and find it in a time where an answer is needed. And having that level of confidence that you're going to show up that way, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying confidence based on your past results. I'm saying confidence based on what you're committed to actually doing and fulfilling, and being resourceful with it. Now, the fourth trait was unwavering commitments or commitment. The winners have whatever it takes kind of mindsets, like where obstacles just are really another challenge to solve for the day, because no day is going to go by where we're not solving problems effectively. That's why we get paid so much in real estate, is that we get to solve problems that, most people, if they didn't have to do it, they wouldn't want to solve that particular problem, but we get to do that. Those who fail to really build up the production to the level they want, they quit. They oftentimes quit when it gets inconvenient or uncomfortable. And all of us have obstacles. All of us have challenge. All of us have unexpected circumstances pop up with friends, family, loved ones. But the question is, do our goals stop at that point? Do we stop progressing? Or despite the challenge, do we find a way to keep going forward? And that's really the difference I'm talking about here. But, those that built their production up, they committed. And some of them, if you really knew their story, like honestly, um, I can think of one of the top agents I work with. If you knew, I can't share his story. It's his story, and there's stuff he probably wouldn't want me to share from it. But if you actually knew what he went through his first year in the business, you would probably agree that he had every reason to just not even be in real estate. Like, to not even, like, why focus on real estate if you're dealing with this, that, the other in your personal life? But despite, and I've heard people with less challenging obstacles give it to me as the reason why they weren't doing anything in real estate. So I'm just saying it's a mindset difference, but that's a part of the mindset of those who really see the most success. The fifth trait is work ethic. This probably sounds obvious, but the distinction here is really what's on the screen. Like, so in real estate, this is a very lagging business. The seeds you plant today are not going to result in a harvest until months and months later. But it's interesting to see because oftentimes we go from thing to thing, strategy to strategy, shiny object to shiny object. And like before we even give it a chance to have any growth whatsoever, we're on to the next thing. Well, look at what's on the screen here. The average time before seeing significant results from consistent effort, it takes months. You have to like put in the effort months in advance before you see the growth from it. Yet a vast majority of agents, they quit before month 6, missing their breakthrough. They didn't even have an opportunity for a breakthrough. I spoke to someone who should know better because he's already a successful agent, who I was helping with a very specific strategy that he wasn't yet familiar with, but he was trusting me as the expert on this strategy. And he literally calls me yesterday, or he texted me yesterday. I hop on a phone call with him to find out that he hasn't even given this thing a week to work and he's already quitting. And I gave him an analogy. I'm like, man, look, if I was asking you about this strategy you're good with, and I approached it the same way, like, do you think I'd get results? It's like, so even it's not even just a mindset that I see amongst people that are failing. Like, this is a successful agent, and so even people that are getting results, like we have a hard time with this oftentimes as well. So are we really giving it enough runway to work? Are we really putting in the work ethic that would be expected if you wanted to produce a substantial result with it? And then the sixth one, and this by no means is last, is accessibility. Probably the most interesting thing I've come to see in the business here, working with so many different people, is that it's so, like, to me, it's kind of funny, but literally the busiest agents, like if I had to bet money, like, okay, who's going to answer the phone right now? I'm going to call my busiest agents. I'm going to call the ones that have the most deals pending, the most clients that are spending the most times in showings and appointments. I'm going to call one of them. I'm not going to call one of my agents that has 1 or 2 deals closing this year. So the busiest agents, they're the ones that are the easiest to reach, while the least busy agents are oftentimes the hardest to reach or slowest to respond. So, question is, how easy are you to reach? Because you never know what's on the other side of that phone call. I mean, you might know if it's someone you might think and you might not know. And I hate to say this, but there's been multiple opportunities I can think of over the last few months, even one over the last week, where I had an agent in my group that I had a really good opportunity for, like a referral, and I didn't hear anything back, or I didn't hear something back soon enough. I'm not chasing them down to send an opportunity. If I don't hear something back like quickly, it's not going to them. And I'm disappointed to say, because these are agents in my own group that I've seen that with. But imagine if it's someone who you don't even know. Like, I feel like if someone works with me, they should know that about half the time I make a phone call, it's to send an opportunity to them. But what if it's a number you don't know? What if it's a number you don't have saved on your phone? What could be on the other side of that? Might it be a past client, or actually, we shouldn't really call past clients past clients. It's a client of yours, client for life. But maybe it's a friend of theirs and they had a conversation. They caught one, hey, to, you should talk to Brian, you should talk to Deborah. Um, but if you don't answer that call because you don't have their number saved and they don't leave you a voicemail, did you know that someone was just trying to get you connected? And maybe they're like, well, I guess they're too busy. A lot of people think that about us. They assume that we're too busy. That's why we got to be so visible. That's why we've got to create opportunities for people to actually reach out and connect with us. Because some people, even our friends and family, they'll assume we're too busy, and then they'll call some random agent that sent them something in the mail, and then you're upset because they didn't call you. They didn't want to bother you. I know that, like, to us, like, we know, bother me. This is how I make my living. Not everyone like not everyone's thinking about it in the same lens that you are. They're trying to be polite, and they don't even know that, like, that might throw a wrench in your relationship. They're not even aware of that. And then there's two additional things that I've just noticed that the top people I work with, it's kind of striking. They don't have a lot of things in common aside from those traits I just mentioned, and those obviously are some really big things. But because they all came from different backgrounds, some started part-time, some started full-time. But here, like, there are a couple things I noticed that they tended to do that others didn't, which one is they actually, like, plugged into the weekly mastermind that I hosted, which, I mean, for y'all, I think this is the equivalent of that for you. But my top people, they were the ones that were most consistent in plugging into that. And even some of the top agents I work with to the day have the best attendance record out of anyone I've ever worked with. And then the second thing is an overwhelming majority of them made the commitment to get to a big event sooner rather than later. In fact, several of them, it was literally within their first 2 to 3 months that they got to an event like EXPCon, even though they didn't have the revenue from real estate to actually support doing that. And that's kind of a mindset shift that I learned years into the business, which was that, like, I think initially I thought that it was a luxury to get to places like that and events like that. But what I realized after I actually got to one is it's not a luxury. Like, this is how you level up. This is how you like it completely changes your perspective if you have big goals in real estate and you know the opportunities there, but you've never really seen much anyone else around you do it. But then you put yourself in a room of people who have already done it and they're trying to figure out what the next goal is. It completely shifts your perspective and it makes it more real. And for me, everything changed after I got to my first big event. And so that's something I've kind of been preaching to the agents when they lock arms with me, even to the point where I know for a fact I've at least had one person, probably multiple people, not join me because of how big of a deal I made it to, like, you got to get to your first event. Some people are like, yeah, I don't know if that's the strategy. But the ones that plugged into it, like, I mean, the results speak to themselves. Like, they got in a big room, they got made these connections before they had the production to show for it. And a year later, they are one of those kind of people. And I think they all took something away from that experience that contributed to their success. Um, Now, kind of the final thought here is, success wasn't luck for any of these agents. It was a combination of plugging into the right system, committing to a specific niche that they took ownership in, and building a personal brand in the process. And what separated the winners wasn't just knowledge. It wasn't just what they learned, although they tended to really dive deep on knowing their market locally and, what was happening on a broader economic level as well. But it was really their traits, their habits, and their willingness to show up and invest in themselves that made all the difference. And so the formula, it's fairly simple, not easy, but it's simple. I mean, one, you've got to have a proven plan. I know all y'all have a proven plan being here. Two, you've got to decide what your niche is that you want to own. Three, you've got to build your personal brand. If you're already building it, I would ask, well, what's one thing you can do to make it even better? Is it consistency? Can you be more consistent? Can you share more social proof from people you've actually helped? Some of the stories of the obstacles you've had to work through to get someone a result. And then the last thing is those traits. I think it's a healthy assessment to assess, to what extent do you demonstrate those traits, and what's the biggest thing, if any, that you feel you could personally improve upon. Because I tell you for a fact, like literally all those traits I shared, the top people I work with have them all in common. And the people that say they want to be top people, but their results don't reflect it, oftentimes they don't necessarily have those things in common. But if they worked on them, they could definitely get there. And that's the beautiful part is, if you're not where you want to be, these aren't traits you're born with. You can work on them. You can get better at them. But yeah, that's the material I've got. I'd like to open it up to Q&A. Anyone that has a specific question that relates to them, their goals, where they're trying to go from here, anything I can speak to on that from what's worked for my partners, I'm happy to share some insight.
Tyler, first of all, well, excellent stuff.
Yeah,
So
good
much
stuff.
good stuff. It's honestly, it brings me back. There's so many things I'm thinking as you're going, every one of these slides and everything you're
Yeah.
saying. I'm like, I'm going back 23 years now of doing this. And we have people on here that have been in business longer than me. We got some that just got licensed, 2 months ago. I mean, we're all over the board here. And it brings me back. I remember my very first day of real estate. I walk into the office day one. My broker hands me this book. So I turned off my camera because I went back here to get, Think and Grow Rich. And it started me on this journey of like that, getting this right up here, because so much about this business is right up here. It's a battle. It's a battle to this day, 23 years later,
Right.
but I've gotten better and better and better, but I'm always reading. It's partly why I didn't get on here. I normally am on here about 10 minutes beforehand, guys. Kathy and I will meet on here. We'll bring in the speaker, make sure they can share their screen stuff. I didn't get on till 1 minute before because I was busy wrapping up some stuff this morning, but it was getting this right. I've got to get this set every day, and that's where, all these books over here, I didn't have these. This is all just over the last 23 years. There's books over here on real estate and business and negotiation and money and all kind of, it's head stuff, getting this right. And it's such a big part of what we need to be in this business and how we respond to the challenges in this business. Because there's going to be challenges today. Every one of us, there's going to be curveballs today. I don't know what they're going to be. Some will be bigger than others, but it's like, man, getting our heads right is so key. So I did want to mention that, and I want to open it up for anybody to share any questions that you have for Tyler.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, Jeff. One thing, I'm gonna give everyone a gift here. If it's a gift if you've never heard of this before. So real quick question. How many of y'all have listened to something called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale? Raise your hand if you have.
So good.
Does anyone not know what that is? I'm guessing that like at least half of y'all probably haven't, right?
I haven't.
Okay. So if you haven't, and even if you have, it's still a gift, honestly. This is something where, so actually, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Jeff, because what the one thing I didn't say is I literally got every one of my partners, like before the onboard, I'm like, hey, you got to listen to this. Listen to this. Have you ever heard this? No, you got to listen to this. And I kind of made them do that. But I think you'll be glad you did. It's only a 31-minute audio. It's something you can listen to while you're literally at the gym or in the car or whatever. But seriously, it's along the lines of what Jeff just shared there. And honestly, this might sound crazy, but I know for a fact the top producing agent I work with, he like listens to it literally every week. Like he has for 4 years in the biz, like every week, at least once a week, he listens to this. And that might sound like obsessive. I'm telling you, just give it a listen. And I think it's gonna, I think you'll recognize the value if you do.
Yeah, so good. Just like you, I know people, once a month or whatever, like, whatever. Miguel, used to listen to it every morning while working out. It will change the way you think. But we always have to be working on this, for sure. So, no. Who else has some comments, questions, thoughts? Anybody? I've got lots of them. I'll keep going.
Yeah,
I want to
I
open it up
know,
to you
I do
guys.
One thing I will add, it's kind of like you, Jeff, everything you were going through, Tyler, like I was thinking about different things through my journey, of 26 plus years. And one of the biggest regrets that I had in my business, and people told me in the beginning to do this 26 years ago, is to have a niche, get a niche. And I never did that, or especially early on, because I didn't want to be pigeonholed. I was like, at first, I liked to work with first time home buyers. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that. And I was like, no, because then I don't want people who aren't first time home buyers thinking, that I don't do anything else. But as I just said, what you said is super important. And I think it's very critical to set yourself up with some kind of niche, and then what happens is the other people, they start seeing the other business you're doing, especially if you're doing social media these days. Back then we didn't have social media, right? So they see you're not only doing whatever that niche is that you have. So that was a great reminder, I think, and a great point, especially for agents on here that are just starting out. What is it that you like? What is it that you're drawn to? Right? What type of customer or client are you drawn to? And I would highly recommend, as Tyler said, pick a niche and brand yourself around that.
Questions, comments, thoughts, anybody? Unmute yourself. Throw it out there. I got more. I'll keep going.
Excellent.
Who
Really
is
enjoyed it.
gonna?
Yvette, go ahead.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Wrote everything down. Really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna. It's good. It's something new that I can, review and get into.
Good stuff there.
I think it'll help.
What
Jim,
is one thing you're going to pick out and implement?
Well, maybe luxury. I'm working on one right now, a luxury property. But unwavering commitment.
Mm,
Good.
good.
I
Jim,
think
you unmuted.
Yeah, I'm muted. Hey, Tyler, thanks a lot for the meeting today.
Of course.
A lot of good stuff in there, man. I think I related to a lot of those where you had the failure blocks. I relate to a lot of those, going through the failures of the shiny object syndrome of not trying stuff long enough, to give them a shot. I've done that, buddy. I have failed many a time, and that's helpful just to see that, that. And also like getting rid of the head trash. Like Jeff was just talking about. That's the biggest thing. Like I have to wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, it's gonna be a fantastic day, like it or not," So,
Yeah.
but just to try to get the negativity gone. So anyway, it's been a positive meeting, man. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad it was helpful.
Somebody tell us what's
And-
one thing that stood out that you're going to implement.
Well, I just want to say this is Tracy Wiggins, Atlanta, and Tennessee. I just want to say it was amazing. I absolutely love the information you gave. One thing that that you said that I watch agents do over and over is get so much information. They're on every call. They have all this information without application. And so, we just got to do better at that for the agents that aren't successful and thinking that real estate doesn't work for them. We have been given and truly blessed with the best of information. But if you don't get out there and do it, like Tyler just said, it's not gonna change. And so, thank you for your information. It was absolutely amazing.
Thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate that.
One thing I want to just throw out here real fast, guys, because again, I am pushing on EXPCon because I know what it does for those who get there. I know what these big events do. Tyler mentioned it. The very and a lot of you guys know this story, but those of you who don't, 6 months after I got licensed, and it was just me. My wife was home with our kids. We wanted that on purpose, but it was all on me. Like, there's going to be a closing this month or no food on the table, 100% commission. And 6 months into it, my first broker, great guy, but very old school, I went to a conference. It was about $2,000 to go to this conference out in Phoenix. And, put it on a credit card, and I went. It's an investment in my business. There's good debt and bad debt. I'm not telling you how to spend your money, but, I don't want to be in debt. I hate debt. But there's good debt and bad debt. Any company, you're building a business, and sometimes when you're new, there is going to be some of that stuff that, you wrestle with it, and I get it. And you got to do what's right for you. So, but here's what I did. I go to this conference, Craig Proctor. I'm around some of the biggest and best agents in the country. They were all part of his coaching program. I put $14,000 on a credit card to join his coaching program because I knew it would work. I had to get around these guys. And, I ended up closing out my first year with 32 deals. And about 26 of them came from things I learned at that conference. We had weekly calls and coaching, and just like this, every week. And we this accountability, just different things we were doing. And it exploded my business. I ended up being a part of that program for the next 8 years later. 8 more years, and I paid 20 grand a year every year after that. But in 2.5 years, I was in the top 20 here in town out of 5,000 agents. Now I'm at this little company called A1 Real Estate Professionals. Okay. I learned very quickly, I'm the brand. Tyler mentioned it. You're the brand. EXP is not the brand. Remax isn't the brand. Keller Williams isn't the brand. You're the brand. And I learned how to set myself apart. But it's because I got around the right agents. At EXPCon in Miami, you're going to be around the best agents in all of EXP. Yeah, I'm just like, everybody will be there. The top, they're all going to be there, and to be around those people for 3 days, if you come out of there and close one more deal in the next 12 months, you more than covered the entire cost of your trip, hotel, airfare, food, everything. I'm just saying, just to consider it, because I know what will happen. There's a lot of people holding back because it's tight. It's been a challenging year for a lot of agents. You're new in the business. I get it all. But I will tell you, if there's a way to work it, there's good debt and bad debt. To me, that's good debt. If I had to put that on a credit card, because I did it. I paid it. I got it all paid off. We made hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, literally, from that program that I was part of for 9 years. I would do it again all over, if I was around, getting started. So anyway, I'm just throwing all this out there. There's things to consider. There's so much in what he shared here today that can take your business from here to here. So anyway.
And getting in the right room with the right people, like
100%.
To me, that's the most pivotal thing you can do. I wish I had known that a lot sooner. I didn't get to my first event until about 4.5 years later. And honestly, it was probably at the worst point financially I could have chosen to get there. I was struggling with some things, honestly, more so than when I started in the business 4.5 years in. But someone said the right thing to me that convinced me to get to my first event, even though I did not have the money to do it. I still found a way. And it literally changed everything for me. So yeah, if you can get to EXPCon, because honestly, it's an investment in yourself. I believe the best investment you can make in your business is in yourself. For one, you're going to get in the right room with the right people. Literally half of my partners who go walk away with a referral. And if you don't, it might be because you didn't talk to enough people. But if you talk to enough agents in other markets, you would be shocked how often, at least one time, you'll have someone be like, "Oh, you're in Houston? I've got someone who I might be able to connect you with. I've got a client moving to Houston." It happens all the time when you're connecting with agents that sell 40 plus homes a year, like a lot of the people you'll meet at these events.
Yeah.
Ariel has a comment in the Emil. Is that, sorry?
Yeah, Anil.
Neil,
Got
go
it.
ahead, ask your question, Anil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am new agent. So is it more challenging to get into investor or luxury residential market?
Luxury investing.
Yeah.
It really just depends on who you know, and if you don't know anyone, it's going to depend on who you go and meet. So, I'd say, is it more challenging? I guess it depends. I think all else equal, is luxury more challenging than regular real estate? You've got to tap into that network. So yes, but it's really just a matter of getting that first connection. You get one connection, and you do a really great job, you knock it out of the park, that tends to open the door for more of those connections. So that it all just starts with one connection. And a way that I would do that is, if you want to sell luxury, where do people who own these kind of properties go and hang out? That's something that you might be interested in. And there's more than one place. There's not a one size fits all. Funny enough, I actually got this book sitting on my desk. If you want to break into luxury, this is going to get your mind going. It's called Selling to the Affluent. But there's a lot of places you could go where affluent people hang out. The only question is, what are you actually interested in? Do you love golf? Well, what's a golf club that you can join that maybe isn't out of reach for you right now, where you can go have conversations with people? I like cars, so I could go to car shows all the time. I went to one the other day, and people were pulling up in $400,000 cars. You think someone with a $400,000 car might own some nice real estate? And so you just got to think along those lines and dive into what you're actually interested in.
I want to congratulate Anil for being here. He joined EXP yesterday, and I made the strong recommendation that he never miss Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And buddy, you're here, so kudos to you, first of all. And I actually thought Tyler was speaking to you when he was talking about referrals. You probably haven't heard the name yet, but Revenos is the name of EXP's referral division. I think you need to be all over that. And we've got somebody's got somewhere they're circling around a document that's got like 20 different referral fee only lead sources where you don't pay anything up front. You just pay a percentage of your commission. There's like 20 places that you could sign up for immediately. Take you about a half a day to sign up for all of them, more than likely. But
Okay.
I would strongly recommend you do that and plug into EXP's Revenos, and the referrals will start coming your way. And that's the best way to get your feet wet is
Yes.
with that kind of business as you're
Yes.
starting to
I'll
grow.
get into that today.
Yeah,
I like that.
Revenos and Slack too. If you're not on Slack,
I
you know,
already, I just started on Slack. I just downloaded it. And
join the referral groups, get familiar with it. Like you would be surprised how much opportunity comes through those.
yeah. Okay.
How was this for you today, Anil, being your very first EXP Freedom Team training event?
Oh, that was really good. It was a lot of information and very good information. It's very good information. Yes. And I'm planning to be here every day, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. That's what it said, Monday, Thursday, right? 4 days.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mondays and Thursdays are more about attraction, which I want to talk to you a little bit more about that too
Yeah.
at some point. But I just met Anil yesterday on a strategy call, and he told me he's on a team, and his team promised him leads and promised him training, and he got no leads, and the training he got was how to do an open house, and that's all he's been able to do for 4 months. It's kind of sad in a way, but you're in the right room, my friend. So thank you for your faith in me and the faith in the Freedom Team leaders and faith in showing up for Tyler today. And Tyler, you crushed it, man. You knocked it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tyler
Thank you,
Yeah.
brother.
did great.
Yeah,
Bill,
thank
it's good to
you.
see you on here.
Well, hello. I was getting ready to speak, but I didn't want to speak over the top of anybody. Hi, Tyler. My name is Bill. I'm from Columbia City, Indiana. I got through EXP by meeting Kathy, and I see Tim because of Mr. Hollister down in Alabama. And one thing that I got out of today, and I wanted to jump on more to hold myself accountable because I have known my niche from the beginning, but I haven't known how to get to the niche because there's so much noise that you can pay attention to, and so many different groups that you can join, and so many trainings that you can do. You can almost drown in it. And so my niche is definitely going to be the digital and basically making people fall in love with Columbia City and the surrounding area of here in Northeast Indiana, because we have just tons and tons of lake and slow hometown life, and I want to make people fall in love with that by getting to know business owners and great parks and all those kinds of things. And then the side of that is then they'll fall in love with the area first and then think of us first when they want to buy and sell. The thing that I'm having, what I'm trying to work on right now is trying to figure out how to get people to actually see that and know that we're here, know that we're doing this without spending $1 million. And which way's the right way to go. I'm a hard worker, but I'm having trouble figuring out what to do first in what order, and part of that's my newness. But anyway, I'm definitely committing to the niche, and I was glad to hear that out loud today because I don't want to do a million things. I want to do a couple of things really, really well.
Yeah,
Well, I know you bought Andy's YouTube program. Have you been
Yes.
implementing YouTube yet?
I have started, well, I've done that and Cash Cow both. But I'm leaning more toward Andy's program because it just seems to fit us better. And so yeah, I'm back in that. I see Tim on Tuesdays with that. And so I'm starting to film, and I'm getting my head wrapped around all the filming that I need to do. And then the thing is about where to drop it and how to make sure it's seen. Instagram seems to be huge around here, and out of all the social medias, that's the one that's like I don't know how to interact with those people. I'm on there, but I built a business on Facebook, completely 100%. I built a business on Facebook that was really successful, but even that has completely changed from the way I built it originally.
Well, and we had somebody on that did a great training on Instagram. I'll find that and send that to you. But Tyler, do you have any? So YouTube is huge, Bill. We've talked about that
Yeah.
before, and that's the one, any social media, but YouTube's going to get them to know you, right? To know the area. If you're out there shooting videos, if you're doing all those things. And like Tyler said today, it's 6 months a lot of times of consistency
Yeah.
in anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you really got to give it, and when we say like giving it time, I want to be clear. That's like, where you're putting your best foot forward week after week, following your plan. So like,
Mhm.
it's not 6 months if you started 6 months ago but didn't like consistently do what you need to do every week from that point. So I want to be crystal clear
Yeah.
on that. I think you probably know that already, but I think one of the most powerful things that anyone can do is document their journey. And when I say that, I mean like unscripted video. I mean, the planned video is one thing where you have an outline and you have a plan for it, but a whole different piece of content is just kind of like behind the scenes, kind of like you're out and about. Hey, what are you working on? What are you doing here today? What's the game plan? What's the difference it makes? Like if you just kind of just have some more raw content that you document, and you can use that for anything. It can be a long form video, it could be a short form video, it could be I mean, even with you mentioned Facebook. One of my partners, he's actually really leaned into that, and he's seeing a lot of traction. And his whole strategy is just posting pictures with captions, but it's not like a curated picture. It's literally just a raw picture. Like usually it's a selfie of him somewhere. And I know
Yeah.
a lot of people hate being on, on the camera and video or whatever. I'm just saying it works. Like he'll do like selfies. It's not always a selfie, but he's usually in it because more people interact with a picture of you in it versus not. But literally, if you look at his feed like clockwork, every day he's posting selfies. But no one, and I know that might sound weird, but if you understand, like, there's actually a valuable piece of content attached to it. It's always for the caption because he wants a visual to go with it, and very rarely does I mean, not rarely, but it's not always that the picture actually exactly goes with the caption. The key thing is there's a visual, and then he's able to share what's on his mind, or but he's doing that daily, and you wouldn't know if you pulled up his page because he's not a big influencer, but some of those posts get a lot of reach. Some of them you might see one that
Right.
has 20 likes and you're like, oh, it's got 20 likes. What you don't see is on the back end, it's got like 20,000 views. Some of them that will happen on. So, and that's just exactly what he's doing. He's documenting the journey he's on. He's just taking pictures. He's not doing it video. So it could be video, long form, short form pictures, but any of us can do that because guess what? We're all, out to, help a lot of people, sell a lot of houses. There's a lot of interesting things that happen along the way, and you can decide if you want to document it and share some of that or not.
Right. I'm finding that so I built my business here in Columbia City from original, and I'm finding that I'm getting a lot more following when I post something on my personal page than when I've created the business page. And yet I don't want to drive my friends crazy, but yet that's where I'm getting the views. I posted a thing about looking at a pumpkin patch the other day. It was a video that my wife and I did. It was silly, but we got 2,000 views in less than 24 hours on my personal page, and yet we got 200 views on my business page. Um, what do you guys think about personal pages compared to business pages when that's the case?
Uh, well, I mean, personal pages are going to have more reach. Like if you're talking Facebook, is this Facebook? Like your
Okay.
personal profile? Yeah, I wouldn't really expect stuff on a business page to get reach. So if you want it to reach people, I would do personal. I wouldn't worry about your friends being annoyed. If they're really your friends, they're gonna follow you regardless. Like, and that's like I mean the one criteria I would say is, I mean, if every post you make looks like an ad, then I would say that that's
Right.
not the goal. That's not what we should be doing. But as long as every post you make doesn't look like an ad, I don't care if it's real estate or not real estate. You're not going to annoy your friends too much. Your friends are going to be your friends.
Mhm.
Right. Well, in the video that we did, we just all we said about Realty. This is Bill and Kay from Bill and Kay Realty, and today we're at the pumpkin patch, and come help this guy sell out because he had great prices on his pumpkins, and I
Mhm.
think he sold a bunch. So,
Yeah, that's great. Put yourself out
Yeah,
there.
okay.
perfect. Yeah, perfect. Well,
Thanks,
we are
guys.
over time, and Tyler, I want to be respectful of your time, although we've gone over. So, I appreciate you being here and everybody for being here and engaging with Tyler, and great stuff, buddy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me, and I hoped it helped. If anyone wants to connect, best place to find me is Instagram. I put the link. It's my name, so you can connect with me on Instagram or Facebook if you prefer. I'm on there. But I appreciate y'all spending the time here, and I hope you took something away from this that is helpful for you.
Oh, 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 hey. Out here on the grind, chasing dreams in the sun, from the Gulf to the hills.